Hey guys, I apologize for making the video a few days late. It's been a crazy past week, and just with my work schedule and things, I wasn't able to make a video on Thursday. And when I was going to make one on Friday, I kind of forgot and got busy, and so, yeah, I'm finally sitting down to make one almost a week late. So I apologize if this video is late. But, so this is the second part of just me kind of talking about relationships and stuff. And like in the last video, I feel like it wasn't very good, and I feel like that I kind of didn't explain things very well, and like, or at least like that some of the things that I said may not be agreed with by a lot of people. And so I just kind of want to, I guess, review kind of what I said, like, and talk about it, I guess, a little bit more. So when I was talking about like how, you know, to just kind of have like a basic, you know, understanding of what you're looking for, and not to make like this huge list of things, because you'll never, find somebody. Like, I just feel like that, you should just keep it simple. Like, don't, for me personally, like, I've tried to have this huge list of things that I wanted in a guy. And the older I get, even though I'm not that old, but the older I get, and like the more that I kind of search for a guy, like that I've searched for a guy, like I realize that I have like too high of expectations, I guess. And you definitely have to have like a high expectation, but you don't want it to be too high, if that makes sense, because there's no perfect guy out there, and we all know that. Nobody's perfect. And so I thought, I would just like kind of explain that, like, I'm not saying like, don't make a list or don't, put a lot of thought into it. Definitely put a lot of thought into it, but I think definitely be careful of the things that you put on the list. And, really kind of take into consideration, is this something that is an absolute must, for me? Because like I said, there's no guy that's probably going to meet every single little criteria on your list, because nobody's perfect. And then I was talking about how another thing that I realized that I probably should have explained better was talking about how in a relationship, I believe that it should be up to the couple whether or not they choose to have sex or, whatever before marriage. And, I do stand by those words. I think that, as a Christian, although it is very hard, to sometimes sit there and read the Bible and, want to, listen to every single word in it, because this book was written 3,000 years ago. Like I said, it was written thousands of years ago. So why, or it is really hard to just try and, follow every little guideline in there. Now, I know that there are some people who that is what they want to do, and they have kind of dedicated their lives to that, and that they are, 100%, you know, for everything in it. And I think that's great. For me, like, I feel like that there are some things that may not be like right, maybe, or I don't know how to really word it, but I feel like that there's some things in there that really kind of make it so that way people can be judgmental of others and stuff like that, which I've talked about in the past. And so I definitely think that it is up to each individual couple. And, you know, if you are a Christian dating another Christian, chances are you're both going to choose not to have sex till marriage, which is great. But I definitely think, though, that it has to be a mutual decision before you have sex. And for me, I've said in the past that I want to wait, but I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't know. I guess I'll just have to kind of see what path I go down, and where God takes me. For me, that's not a huge thing, because if you've seen my videos before, you know that I'm not a virgin. And, I did some really stupid things as a teenager. So, I have, that part of me is already gone, but I also know, that, I may find a guy that, that's his choice, and, I have to respect that. So I haven't completely decided whether, for me, my original plan was to wait, but I don't know. We'll see. And, like I said, I am not, I guess, a normal Christian. I kind of go against the flow. I don't want to make people feel bad because they make choices. I feel like that, we should love everybody no matter what. No matter what their religion, no matter if they're a single mom, if they are gay or lesbian or whatever, if, they're having sex with their boyfriend or whatever. I think that we should love everybody. And so those were a couple things that I wanted to review and just kind of like go back over and maybe explain them a little bit better. Because I think last week when I made the video, I was feeling pretty rough. And so I didn't really explain things as well as I should have. Um, and so for this week, I kind of wanted to go a little bit more into just relationships and making sure that you're ready for that, because relationships are hard at times. They're a great thing, but they can also be a challenge. And, it all depends on, I think, whether or not you're ready. So, my advice, never rush into a relationship. And if you do rush into something and you could tell that this guy doesn't respect your boundaries, or he is abusive, or you just get this bad vibe from him, break up with him. So that's my first bit of advice. Never rush into anything. And if you did rush into something and you are being abused or whatever, leave. I also think that um, when you start, or before you start a relationship, you need to really kind of examine yourself and think, am I ready? And I think relationship readiness, first of all, depends on, do I really love myself? Because one of my friends has told me from the time I've known her, so this has been a couple years now, she told me, you can't fully love somebody else until you love yourself. And it's so true. So you have to think, do I really love myself? And if the answer is yes, then I think the next thing you should just say is, okay, like, is God in this relationship? Like, I know some Christians, they don't care. They will date other people who aren't Christians, or they'll date Christians, they just don't care who they date. For me personally, I think that I want to date Christians because I've dated non Christians in the past, and let me tell you, it's really hard. If you date an atheist or like somebody of a different religion, it's really hard. Or if you date somebody who's not as serious as you are about their relationship with God, or the other way around, if they're really serious and you're not, that also causes problems. So I definitely think you should date somebody on the same, I guess, spiritual level as you. But I mean, you don't have to. That's just my advice. And for me, I'm not the best relationship advice giver. I mean, I've never had a successful one. I've always been hurt. So, take my advice or don't. But I would look for somebody who's on the same, I guess, spiritual wavelength as you. And also just like, is this person like, stable? Are they emotionally stable? I don't think you want to date somebody who is just crazy, or because I feel like that if you date somebody who has like emotional problems, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it could cause issues. Or if they're abusive in any way toward friends or family members, then I would suggest staying away from them because they will abuse you too. This is all stuff that I've experienced in the past, so I know. Um, these are just like guidelines for me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with dating people who have, issues with depression or, anxiety, things like that. But I'm like talking about, if they're getting really, if they have like, you know, I don't want to say like if they're bipolar, but if they have like serious mood swings where they can go from being fine to crazy and like abusive, definitely be careful. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody out there that sees this and has bipolar issues or, any kind of emotional issues, because I've been there myself, and like, you just have to be careful. I always say guard your heart because, you know, people can be mean. People can hurt you really bad if you're not careful. So, I'm not trying to be mean or rude to anybody in this video. I'm just kind of giving my advice from past experiences, just to really be careful. If they feel like, if you get a bad vibe from them, stay away from them. Um, what do I think makes a healthy relationship? I definitely think communication, mutual respect, just like making decisions together. If, like I said with the whole sex thing, if one of you wants to have sex, the other doesn't, then you respect the person that doesn't. You don't force them into it. Or like moving in together. That's another big thing that a lot of couples do. Just don't, you know, don't go against others' wishes if you're dating them. That's, I guess, some of the best advice that I can give you is just, respect each other, communicate, and, love each other. And like I said, I'm not the best at relationship advice because I have been hurt so many times in the past, and that's why I try to kind of help girls, by telling them, if they're not, emotionally stable, if they seem like that they can get abusive, stay away from them. If you get any kind of a weird feeling about them, I wouldn't go for it, because I've been hurt so many times in the past that I'm really careful about who I date now. And I don't want to be that kind of person that just says, only date guys that are for God, because I know that not everybody out there wants to date a Christian guy, which is fine. I think, in the Bible it might say that, but nobody goes for the Bible anymore, it seems like. For me, I have my, like, I have the things that I look for, and I kind of search based on that. And like, I've learned to change those over the years and like add things and take some away, and that, I guess that would be like, kind of advice too, is just know what you want, and don't settle for anything less than that, because I've done a lot of settling before, and that's how I've gotten hurt. I've gotten hurt by guys who were not stable, not okay, who have been hurt before, and then they took out their anger and their hurt on me and others. And so I would definitely suggest, knowing what you want and don't settle. But that those would be some of my top advice for relationships and just dating, I guess. So I'm gonna go back to just loving yourself. So with Valentine's Day coming around, Valentine's Day is in like 2 days now. A lot of people this year get really sad, especially if they're not in a relationship, and I do. I'm not gonna lie, like, I really struggle with that. That's something that I struggle with every year, just because I've never been in a relationship for Valentine's Day. I've never had that before, and it's something that I long for, and being 23 years old, and this will be my 23rd Valentine's Day single. I mean, being 23. Um, it's, it's crazy. I mean, obviously you can have a boyfriend when you're a baby, but, you know, I think as I've gotten older, part of me longs for that. From the time I was a teenager until the time I was until till now, really. I long for nothing more than a boyfriend. For somebody who loves me for me. But like I said, it all starts with loving yourself first. And I've really kind of been trying to work on that a lot recently. It's something that comes easier over time, I think, as God gives you freedom from things. It definitely comes easier over time. And I still haven't figured it out completely, but I'm working on it. And, God's helping me. He's helping me get through it. And, that's really, I guess, all I can hope for and wish for is that someday I will completely love myself. I mean, I'm definitely a lot further along in my journey than I was at this time last year. This time last year, I was still really broken. I was still really confused, and I still felt really unloved. But this past year, God has really kind of opened my eyes to this whole new side of me, this whole new, I guess, um, journey that I can take, and it involves loving myself. And I mean, I think every single girl has those days where we just wake up and we just want to hate on ourselves because it's natural. Like we always see something that we want to change, whether it be the acne on your face or the fat on your body or whatever. There's always something that we want to change. And I definitely think that we can change those things, but you also have to be careful about changing those things. Like if you want to lose weight, don't go about it in an unhealthy way. You know, make sure you do it healthy, in the healthy way, which is something that I personally want to do for myself because I feel like that God has really been trying to get my attention about this for probably about the last 6 months now. Just like really eating healthier and getting healthy, which has not gone very well since I was unemployed for 6 months. But, now that I'm working again, I am really hoping to be able to um, go and lose some weight and get healthy and really be able to, show my body off as a temple of God. And um, that all I think just kind of stems from whether it be loving yourself or, even just some deep emotional issues can cause that, I think, as well. When you're looked down upon your whole life, you feel like you're never going to be good enough. But, when you finally become a Christian and God says that you're more than good enough, you have a hard time believing that. You know, you really struggle with that. And that's exactly what happened to me. Is, my whole life I was looked down upon, told I was never good enough. But then when I became a Christian, it was like, all my friends would tell me that God sees you as perfect. God sees you as, you're always good enough for God. You're more than good enough. And, you know, it was it was just like a culture shock. It wasn't until I really started to ask God, okay, God, let me see myself how you see me, that it finally it started to register, I guess. And I've talked about this in the past and how I overcame my struggle with depression just by doing it this way, and just really kind of asking God and getting freedom in that way, and how that's made all the difference in my life. And it's amazing, and I just I'm amazed at how God still loves us no matter what, and how He is just, He loves us even when we don't love ourselves. And I've gone through those times. Even recently, I've had some times where, I just kind of wake up and I'm just like, I look horrible today, I look fat or whatever. But I know that's not what God thinks, and I'm trying to get those bad thoughts to stop coming. Like when the bad thoughts come, to not even really be able to dwell on them. And it's really hard, I'm not gonna lie. It is really hard to do that because I'm still working on it. But I can tell you right now that from February 12th of 2015 or 2016 to February 12th of 2017, I'm a completely different person. And I can honestly say that my 23rd year of life has been the best year of my life so far. And I'm going to be 24 here in about a week tomorrow on the 21st. And I'm so amazed. Like, I am so amazed at how much God has changed my life in this last year and how my life has gone from, basically me just being like a train wreck all the time to being, to where I still have my bad days, but most of the time I'm doing really well. And I just thank God for that all the time. Just like I thank God for my job that He gave me when I didn't even want a job. When I was so down and depressed that I didn't even want to get out of bed, He gave me a job. He led me out of this darkness. And although, like, the last few weeks have been rough with me starting to work, me being tired and constantly just achy, and I think the past 3 or 4 days, I guess the last 3 days, I've been not in a very good mood. I've been kind of depressed, honestly. And it's been hard, not gonna lie. It has been really hard to try and not stay in this depression state. But I know that God's getting me out of it. He is showing me love so that way I can love myself and then I can love others based upon this newfound love for myself. And I feel like I'm beginning to ramble now. So I'm going to stop with this video. I will make another one on Thursday. I promise this time I will make one on Thursday. I hope you guys have a great few days. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. Oh, and another thing I was going to say that I totally forgot to say is that you don't need a guy to buy you chocolate or a teddy bear or whatever. Go buy your own. Girl, you can do whatever you want. Or if you're a guy watching this, go buy whatever you want. You don't need a guy to buy you flowers or chocolate. Buy them yourself. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Except I'm waiting till the day after when everything goes 50% off at work. So make sure you guys just enjoy the Valentine's Day. And if you don't have a boyfriend, or if you don't have anybody that loves you, or you feel like that doesn't love you, just remember that Jesus loves you, and that's the best love of all. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you again on Thursday. Bye, guys.